Greetings, my fine fellow, newly minted, still getting under the ropes. Tripoded kangaroo-faced dogs? Tis I, the goat. And here today I'm talking about Not the Way the Smart Money Bets, Part 1 of the Kell Hound Ascendants by Michael A. Stackpool. Yes, I'm finally getting around to doing Kell Hound Ascendant after doing a public poll, asking people what book they wanted me to read, and now I'm just now getting to it after a whole bit of shenanigans. It's a bit later than what I thought it was, but oh well. Let's get it going. So let's talk about the first part of the Kell Hound Ascendant. So pretty much what this whole little story is fairly simple, and not in a bad kind of spoil, but in that very good kind of okay. This gives you a simple setup that then is later expounded upon in the other two stories in Kellhound's Ascendant. So essentially, this is just the Kells literally arriving on Galatea, and like just dealing with their arrival and kind of upsetting a couple ecosystems. The main kind of thing is you have the outer political ramifications of like the Kells' connections to the Archon and their cousin, and like that being seen by other nations or factions within those nations as, is this an attempt to make an autonomous force that is within control of the Archon while still not guaranteeing like copability so they can go out and do extracurricular activities that could then not be linked up to the like actual nation, and then you have the mercenary aspect, which is on world, which is the like upsetting of the ecosystem of people are hopeful and thinking they can get out of debt with the kind of money the Kells are bringing in. So with the amount of money, they have to now then deal with the local kind of crime syndicate slash like people like who are forcibly being indebted on the world and forced by the local mob boss turned arena like I mean, I'm trying to think of the word. It's when a person who sets up the arena boss essentially, and so this is mostly the Kells kind of dealing with each of those aspects as well as kind of giving us a look into who both brothers are. Like you have Morgan, who's the more kind of like brash but confident and like no he goes forward and does stuff without having to think about it, whereas Patrick is the more like thinking about it. I gotta make my measured response kind of thing, as well as giving them a couple supporting cast members. You get generally two sort of like love interests, that's people that they're in relationships in by the end of the book or at the end of the first story, and kind of just sets up a sort of early vibe of what the Kellhounds were like when they were still recruiting, getting people into their unit, figuring out how they want to make their unit, how they find specific kind of players in that unit early on, all that kind of stuff. So if you're really interested in like seeing like the literal like not literal because the whole like their uncle would call them the Cowhounds thing, but like when they literally started putting together the mercenary thing in their like little first couple of missions, this is kind of like where it all starts. It all starts kind of with them pretty much like saying, "Hey, fuck you" to people who are like forcing people into debt, and yeah, saying, "Yeah, we are like idealists who are going to have the skill, the passion, and the moral resolve to like put ourselves in between like shitty, horrible things going on in the universe. And we're going to say no. We're going to be the best. We're going to have the best. And we're going to be so good that like war will be like non-existent." And then those ideas kind of running up against the reality and like people viewing that as being a problem in the inner sphere. That's kind of like the basic gist of this little story, and it's really good. It's really good. Like Stackpool, I haven't read much of Stackpool's like more modern work, but like I've read a little bit of the first Warrior novel, and you can really tell why people rave and say he is one of the best writers out there. Like, so far in all the stories in this collection are out and out amazing. Like, they're not like really structurally, it's not like very like complex thing. You have like the Kells arrive, they have to deal with the kind of political and then the political factions going on, and then kind of have a rise of like those factions saying, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do," and this, and then the Kells dealing with that, deciding whether or not they're gonna go with that or like will bring their heads above and fight it, and then making their bets, playing them off, seeing some things happen, fighting a giant robot fight at the end, and then toppling an evil like system of debt and freeing up a bunch of people. That's kind of like the main structure of it. And it's what you think. It's a these two good mercenaries come in and are like bringing power to the people, like allowing that. But there's little bits that add a lot more flavor to it than them, like between how both brothers end up with their sort of love interest slash female like companion character. Morgan's is more like the femme fatale who has a lot of political machinations going on and like is playing both with him on that, like making her bets on him having these ramifications to change things, as well as like her own attraction, but she doesn't want to be attracted to him, and it has like a whole different vibe versus Patrick, where he's like, I'm gonna go, like just rock and roll at a dance club, and I'm just gonna cut a rug, meeting a woman for the first time, and then turns out, oh hey, you're a super mega good mechanic, and we're going to have a talk and do all these little things where it's more like a, oh wow, the once in a lifetime romance thing, we actually get a chance, like in the movies. So that's a little weird, and we have to talk through that. Them having like more of a like a kind of general relationship discussion as it starts off, and it's very well done, as well as like people getting caught in the crossfires of violence. I really liked how that was presented, like when Patrick is going on a date with his love interest. I'm forgetting the name, um, or just the woman he's trying to date it essentially, because I think at the end of the story they are about in a relationship, or at least they're going for one. Is the vibe I get. And like they get like I'm saying select so much. They get attacked by like some assailants. They start shooting up the restaurant they're in, and she ends up having to shoot a gun, and it kind of mess with her. And so that presentation of shell shock and like someone who is never having to shoot somebody and kill someone kind of really elevates like the a lot of stuff. It's those little details that make the meat of the sandwich you're eating just really good. And it's all those little toppings added in there, and then you find something like, oh, what is that? Oh, that's really good. What is that? And it's like, oh, it's the secret sauce. It's the secret sauce of the presentation, and it's a really good like little. I don't know if it's, well, it's a novella, so it's a decently sized. It's a decently sized sandwich. It's a full course meal. It's not overly big, not overly long, and it gets where it wants to be and gets done. And I think that's really good. Sometimes like you want something that sets up some stuff and just goes with it. And I think that was the intention with this first story, because it also set, like I said, it sets up the next two stories and what they explore. But yeah, not the way the Smart Bunny bets is freaking amazing. It is a really great little story that just works out really well. Like it explores a lot of fun political aspects of like when you have both like someone from a high important class or having connections to that comes into a thing and tries to like break off, and how that can have political ramifications as well as like economic ramifications when you have like a business that comes into a an area, tries to set up shop, and then has to deal with the eternal ecosystem that has been set up, and how that can affect all of that, both in the positive and the negative way, and how that even if you do your best, like people will, even if you turn them down for a job, or like they were never going to get it in general, or people psych themselves down, to turn a phrase, that they will just not like you because they think you're going to turn them away. Kind of how that affects all kinds of things. Like literally, they have, what was one funny thing I love that they noted is, as soon as they arrive, they get told, "Oh yeah, people are already making off-brand Kell T-shirts and jackets and patches for people who like can come to the interview with all already set up." And I thought that was really funny. Um, I haven't read the Death Kangaroos things, but that instantly made me think of that, where it's like, oh, that I wonder if they are like setting that up as a thing, where it's like, oh yeah, it's the off-brand Kellhounds thing that someone made in a market or something. But yeah, I'd love if that was the thing. It's like, oh yeah, when they're first done, we made a shit ton of these, but never really sold off because they then saw the actual logo. But yeah, I need to read that story. I hear it's very good. But you also need to read this story and all the accompaniment in the actual full. I have the physical copy with me, which is a very nice read. I honestly, I wish I had this as a hard. I wish there was a hardback for this, because this is these three stories. I haven't read the last one yet. I need to. I've been having trouble sitting down and reading the past minute, if the timing of when this video comes out is any recollection. But the stories in this, like, I take this as the broad recommendation for the entire book, I guess, is amazing. Like, they explore a lot of really interesting things when it comes to being a mercenary, and like when you are doing the mercenary thing. Like this one is more of a simple cut and dry thing, and then the next one is about fighting like uh people who are ingrained on the world with a religious kind of motivation, and then fighting a civilian based kind of military that is like armed itself, and exploring like the nature of like combat, getting lost in it, and all that kind of stuff. And it is an amazing set of stories that I highly, highly recommend. If you haven't read it, I super recommend. Like I said, I had the physical copy. I would actually really recommend the physical copy, because it's a decently sized book, but you also get like three novellas in this. But each of them is really good, and each of them just instantly kind of sinks its teeth into you, and really really engages the reader with some really interesting question. Like, are the Kells in this story like really going to be able to do any good, or are they just high-minded idealists that are then hiding behind like their money and like their like own morality? Like, how are they going to actually help the people here, and how that can affect everything? Like just the trickle effect of like things going on, and it's explored very interestingly throughout the story through various characters, and how uh, people can view the Kells from different angles, as well as like their own ideas and whatnot, as well as just being a really great like little fun story. Like this one is definitely a lot more fun, because it's very cut and dry. It's like, yeah, we're the cool mercenaries. We're coming in. We're freeing people from debt, and like saying, yeah, fuck. I'm trying to remember the word for loan sharks. Loan sharks. There we go. Fuck loan sharks, and like people who manipulate people from that. But yeah, it is a phenomenal little story. Not a little story, but novella, that if you have not read, I immensely recommend. Immensely, like this is probably one of the easiest recommends, besides like this and oh my god, why am I forgetting the name? Brian, A Question of Survival. So far, probably the two like most engrossing works I've read so far. Um, because like they really they present something interesting. They have really interesting characters that like you either enjoy a whole lot, or like that you just really like these people or what they stand for. And like it really engrosses you into that sort of world and the mindset and everything. So I think these this collection, this short story, and the other two, even if I haven't read the third one, I probably am going to also very much enjoy it, because I have an inkling it's going to be very, very good. are probably some of the favorite bits of fiction I've read so far from Battletech, as it just hits so well in terms of getting you into this place, this universe, that I think it's just an immensely great read. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about how this is a really great little novella slash collection novella. However, I want to describe these things. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed what listen to me ramble on. I hope you enjoyed, yeah, just enjoyed the video and whatnot and my ramblings. Uh, but yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I've said that twice now, or three times. No, no, I think I might have said it four times. Oh lordy, Lou. I'm I'm having a little trouble getting back into the groove. But yeah, hope you liked the video. I'll be getting the next two parts out sometime soon. Don't know when. Um, but yeah, if you want to see more, please hit the like, subscribe, comment down below if you've read the story, what you think. Like if you what you think is another like what is the BattleTech book that you think also like deeply engrosses you and just is like one of your favorites that just gets you right into BattleTech? Because this one so far like has done that again, much like A Question of Survival. But yeah, so put those down below, do all the little things, subscribe, like thingamabobs. But yeah, I will see y'all in the next one.